Late at night, 5 campers chat around a campfire. This is one of the parents reminding them not to wander around at night. A week ago, police found the remains of several bodies not far from there. The old man said that he was at the scene at that time. The mangled body of the corpse was still fresh in his memory to this day. But after listening to it, Alex joked that the story wasn't scary at all. It turned out that the 4 of them didn't know the old man in front of them. They happened to meet each other while looking for a place to camp during the day. Look at them giggling and not caring. With a gloomy face, the old man invited them to make a game. He said that if while camping a wooden shovel was thrown into the fire, horror stories would be told during the burning. As long as the listener is afraid, then the story will really come true.
So, he was brave enough to talk to the dead.
After listening, Alex said that he would start first. And telling the story will really scare them. It is said that a gambler was chased by thugs late at night because he owed a large amount of money. In panic, he entered the factory area to escape pursuit. But he found that all the doors of the factory building were locked. Luckily, after some effort, the door finally opened. He entered without a hitch before the thugs gave chase. But the thugs also forcibly broke in. Both of them vowed to teach him a lesson when they caught him. The man could only hide from the thugs in the factory area. But he knew this was not the right way to continue like this. That's when he discovered that there was a back door here. And he ran there the next second. The man was beaten, and in an instant his consciousness was blurred. The bearded man didn't care about him anymore. He called his friends, but the strong desire to survive made the man quickly retreat. He quickly crawled under the shelf and ran away again. But such a simple movement made him dizzy again. But he didn't stop there, he got up and ran. But suddenly I saw what seemed to be a ghost not far from there. Even though the ghost is in the dark, but he was sure it wasn't human. And soon a bearded man came and stopped him. And shout to get out quickly. The man quickly whispered to remind her not to scream, but it was all too late the next second. The man looked at the terrifying scene before his eyes while holding his breath and not daring to move. Soon the monster turned around again and disappeared into the darkness. The man saw other thugs who heard the screams and rushed towards them. The thug immediately caught him without saying a word and was ready to beat him up. But the man hurriedly recounted the unbelievable scene that had just happened, even though the thug didn't believe it after hearing it. But he also felt that the man was just a debt collector who wouldn't kill anyone. The thug let the man go for a while and let him take him to see the so-called monster. Then the thug immediately took the crowbar and handed it over. The man who knew the horror of the monster still wanted to persuade him to get out of there. Next second, he saw the thug fall down instantly covered in blood. When the man saw this, he gathered his courage. The next second, the angry monster stabbed through his thigh. The intense pain finally made him fall, quickly struggling to escape from this place. But at that moment, the security guard who heard the sound came in and immediately considered him a thief. But when the security guard took a closer look, he discovered that the man was injured. The man quickly stated that he could call the police. But can we get out of this horrible place first? The security guard decided to bandage the wound before calling the police. Hearing this man, he quickly looked at the surveillance camera not far away. Then the man asked the security guard to play the video just now. Otherwise, he was afraid he wouldn't be able to explain it to the police. Immediately, the security guard turned the surveillance camera back on. But what happened next was completely different from what was described. Both of them saw that after the man got out of the rack, he took an iron bar and quickly hid. Then, when the bearded thug came to block him, he jumped out from behind and stabbed the bearded thug in the eye socket. And the other thug was also attacked by the man. There was never any such thing as a monster. His leg injury was nothing more than a struggle for those thugs. Such a strange thing made the man completely confused. The security guard who saw this scene was frightened and retreated. He kept reminding the man to stay calm. He said he must have had a brain hallucination by the reactive transducer. The security guard will definitely testify to help him reduce his guilt. The security guard immediately picked up the phone and prepared to call the police. The confused man slowly agreed with the security guard's words, but at this moment, he saw the monster appear again. But in the eyes of the security guard, there was nothing behind it. The man was so scared that he quickly grabbed a knife on the table. The security guard saw this and quickly calmed down. The man slit his throat with a knife and died on the spot. Alex ends his story. Everyone praised him after hearing it. But Mark said that while the plot was good, it wasn't quite perfect. Then he told his story with a mysterious expression. A woman begins to pack up furniture after moving into a new house. Then she found an old gramophone in the basement. She excitedly called her son to come and admire the old objects. Only then did she realize that the phonograph had long been broken. She doesn't care about this little thing. But when she woke up late at night, she saw that her child was missing. She immediately got up and went down to check the situation. Then she found a figure standing behind her son. The woman was so frightened that she quickly turned on the light, and the figure also disappeared. She thought she was wrong, so she let out a sigh of relief. She immediately told her son not to wander around at night. She also planned to pour a glass of water. Only then did she suddenly see something strange. How did the son get to the cup that was placed on top? But he thought that her son could stand on the bench. The next day, she was working from home when she heard heavy footsteps coming from upstairs. The woman was so disturbed by the sound that she couldn't concentrate. Sheesh got up in anger and shouted for her son to stop. But suddenly she saw her son playing outside the house. Thinking that there was a thief in the house, she went upstairs to check with a knife. Soon the woman arrived at the door where the sound came from. But after opening the door, the sound disappeared in an instant. And upon closer inspection, nothing strange was found inside the room. The strange situation made him a little confused. She thought about it from day to night. And then suddenly she heard the sound of music from the kitchen. The woman did not know why the broken phonograph could come back to life. But as soon as the woman closed her eyes, she felt a shadow beside her. She turned nervously, slowly. This time she was sure she wasn't hallucinating. There is definitely something strange about this gramophone. Thinking so, she immediately went out and threw the things into the trash. But the next day, something strange happened. The phonograph appeared at home. The woman saw this and decided to burn the phonograph completely. But when she returned home, she found that her son was not in bed. When she hesitated, she saw her son standing blankly in the darkness. No matter how much she called, her son didn't respond. The woman was so frightened that she fell to the floor, and when she turned around, she found her son sleeping in bed. Strange events that occur in succession make her afraid to stay any longer. She woke up her son and planned to move overnight to escape from here. But it was clear the figure would not let her go. The next second, the door was locked by an invisible force. The woman also had to pay for her actions. Everyone was scared by Mark's story. Julie even said she didn't want to play anymore. Not wanting to spoil the fun, she could only briefly tell the story of a cheap hotel. It is said that a man brought a very hot girl to a bar. He immediately took her to a hotel with a strange decoration style. But he didn't think much of it. The men just wanted to play with each other quickly. But the girl said that she needed something. The man thought she would give himself essential oils. Little did he know that the girl was drawing strange patterns on his back. Then the girl took out handcuffs and tied his hands behind a back. When he turned his head, he saw that the girl had put on a scary mask. He was immediately shocked by the sight in front of him. Then out of nowhere, she pulled out a hot soldering iron. Then, under the man's frightened eyes, she stabbed him in the chest. The intense pain made him writhe like crazy. The man also fell to the floor. The man quickly took the opportunity to run out, but he saw several people with the same shape standing in the corridor lens. With his hands handcuffed, he could only turn his back on the wall and run downstairs. Finally, when he ran to the first floor, the waiter bumped into him. After seeing the man's appearance, the waiter quickly asked what happened. When he met the waiter, he quickly told him the situation. The waiter immediately said that if that was true, she would call the police immediately. Don't let this group of cultists cause trouble in their hotel. But first, the servant had to make sure what he said was true. The man had no choice but to lead the maid back to the room again. Unexpectedly, the woman stayed here bravely and did not run away, and a group of people in black robes were also standing in the room looking at the two of them. The strange situation made the man feel that something was wrong. He looked at the waiter seriously. Everyone was amazed by Julie's story. Who would be stupid enough to run away and return to a dangerous place again? But Anna, the novelist, comforts her. The idea for Julie's story is actually a good one. Thank you, and now everyone expects her to tell the story. Anna calls her story the novel she is currently writing. It's called Cinema Murder. 3 young people come to the midnight premiere of a horror film. But before waiting to enter, he was shocked by a tall and strong guard. But his brain is clearly inversely proportional to his height. The guard could not issue tickets to some people for a long time. The manager who was called scolded him angrily. The movie was about to start, so they didn't care and left quickly. They didn't know that the manager fired the guard directly after humiliating him. This also made him, who already had an extreme personality, completely black. The manager saw the guard wearing a horror mask and came back again. Then he took his pen from the manager's confused gaze. At that time, Ray, who was rushing in, felt short of breath. This also made him, who was going to the toilet, happen to see this scary scene. He was scared and hurriedly ran back to the cinema. Ray told the couple next to him what he had just seen. But as he spoke, the screen in the cinema turned off. There was an audience in front of them who immediately got annoyed. Despite the persuasion, go out immediately and contact the staff. Seeing Ray's anxious expression, there was no way for his friends to follow him. At that time, the emotional audience shouted and complained to the guard. But after getting closer, he found that the guard was acting a little strange. But he felt something bad and thought it was a question. The next second, he was strangled alive with a chain by the guard. Ray already knew what was going to happen. Recording all the killing actions carried out by the guard, some people fled the scene in panic. Even though the guard blocked the only way out of the theater. Just take the opportunity to slip away quietly. After a long time, the 3 people had arrived silently in the hall. But they found that the guard had already locked the door. What's more unfortunate is that the guard happened to be back here again. The 3 turned and ran away in fear, but in panic, the girl stumbled and fell, and her friends have disappeared. She was the unfortunate one to be the first to die. At this time, Ray, who was hiding in the toilet, met another female employee. She still doesn't know what's happening outside. Luckily, Ray had recorded a video beforehand, successfully convinced the female employee of his words, But after a while, the guard came to the toilet. But when he was about to find them,
Asshole!
but his attack only tickled the guard. When Ray saw this, he quickly stepped forward to help. The next second, the guard knocked them all to the floor with a single blow. And just when the guard was about to kill his friend, Ray quickly took the opportunity to grab the iron rod and struggled to take down the guard. Then he hurriedly called the female employee to run with him, just because she has the key to the cinema door. The two of them couldn't wait for the shutter to fully lift and open, so they quickly climbed out from under it. But right when it was the female employee's turn, she was grabbed by the strong man and dragged back. And before Ray knew what to do, sirens sounded behind him. He made a thrilling escape and was shot dead on the spot by the arriving police who thought Ray was a gangster. Everyone was shocked by this bad and funny ending. Even the old man admits this story. The old man claimed that he was too shy to speak. Then he immediately returned to the tent with the excuse that it was late at night. And they don't think about it. Keep chatting. But when they woke up the next morning, they found that the old man was gone, and their valuables were also stolen. Anna felt something was wrong. Her friend's valuables were stolen. Only she lost a worthless novel notebook. Confused, Anna didn't think about it anymore. She felt that as long as she was okay, she was lucky. But what she didn't realize was, there was news on TV about this. There was a massacre at the theater last night. The horror is that the plot is exactly the same as the story Anna told. The old man who disappeared a few years later reappears. Somewhere out there, he's playing fire games again. He just listened to men tell their stories. It is said that a female writer became famous in just a few years because of her talent. But that day she finished another new job, and a crow hit her window. What men don't know is, currently, the same scary experience as the story happened in Anna's house.
Trust me, they are listening.